we've been talking about it for a while, a lot of the guys in the locker room, that this league is pretty even. Like any team can beat anybody at this point. And, Seattle doesn't have much to lose, so they're definitely going to give it their all.
Welcome back to MLR Mic Check. I'm Dani Wexelman here with AG's Connor Mooneyham. Connor, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm awesome. I'm so excited to get to catch up with you. We have to rewind to start. Last summer, the first ever MLR Collegiate Draft, you're chosen first overall. You go to the Dallas Jackals.
With the first pick in the inaugural Major League Rugby Collegiate Draft, the Dallas Jackals select Connor Mooneyham from Life University.
I know now you've had a little bit of time to probably think about that moment. We caught up with you that day. I know it was so special and meant so much to you, and you weren't even expecting it. So now that you've had maybe a little time to think about that moment, what stands out to you about that day?
That day was, man, just going back to it, it's obviously an honor to be that pick. And, just how things have worked out with Dallas and whatnot, there's no hard feelings or anything there. I'm staying in Texas, so that's great. And, I really like how things have panned out, and I'm loving the culture over at the AGs.
And now we get to fast forward, and you are playing for Austin, still in the state of Texas. So I think maybe everyone would be interested in knowing how all of that kind of worked and how you ended up in Austin this season.
My wife and I, we were getting ready to go up to Dallas, and then obviously they canceled their season. So we were kind of stuck in a limbo. We didn't know what was going to happen. And a few weeks later, I get an email and I was looking at it and I was like, oh man, well, I guess I'm going into a draft again. I had 2 days to kind of contact the teams around the league. And then we were back in the draft.
So back in the draft, and Austin snags you. When all of that happens, what now goes through your head? Because it's always, it's been a whirlwind already, and you will always be forever the first number one overall pick in the first ever draft. But now, like you said, you go into another draft again. So what's the mindset now? You're like, all right, now I'm playing for Austin.
Well, it was like, I've done this before, so now I'm going into another draft. It was great that I got to stay in the state of Texas, so my wife and I didn't have to move across the country or anything like that. We got to, drive all of our stuff up here. And the next question was just like, how quickly can we get here, And I think it took us a week and a half, and then we were all settled in.
You get to debut. You have your debut season, which I know is all you wanted. You wanted to play. Right now, AG is 3-2, and you've basically been racking up award after award every single week. So I'm going to embarrass you for a second. You've played every minute of all 5 matches. You've earned Team of the Week honors, Performance of the Night. This week, you earn Try of the Week for your match-winning try versus Atlanta. So what do you attribute to all of this early success for you?
That's a tough question. So probably just goal setting. I like to write down the things that I want to achieve in the year. And one of those things was to be able to consistently make that 23-man roster on whatever team I was going to be on. And, so just ticking off those boxes has really helped me keep my mindset on what's going to happen in the future.
Okay, I want to hear a little bit more about the goal setting, because I think that that's so important when you write it down and you envision it and you kind of bring it to life, right? You are manifesting what you want. So break down what that looks like when you're writing your goals. Are you alone? Are you listening to music? Are you being really specific? Kind of give me a picture of what that looks like.
Yeah, it really depends on the situation. So as far as rugby goes, I'm usually alone, and I'm usually just I have a notebook and I'll write down the things that I want to achieve throughout the year. And sometimes those goals are pretty long and sometimes they're pretty short. And after the draft happened, it was kind of a long list. And, the group that I'm actually a part of, the Athlete Collective, kind of helped me hash out some of those goals. So that's been really helpful as well.
Now you are ingrained in Austin. You are a part of this culture. You are a part of these teams' wins. You're a major part of them, but it takes a team effort. And I know that you are such a team player. So do me a favor and spotlight your team for me. You are 5 matches into the season. Spotlight your team for me.
there's a lot of diversity on our team. First off, it's actually kind of funny. We were talking about it the other day, and there's not very many American accents at HQ, but the culture is awesome. And especially after week one, we've all kind of meshed together, and we've started to learn how to, work together on the field and off the field. And the boys, we're just all, you see our stories. We're in HQ. We're playing football when we want to. We're playing a little bit of tennis. We're just hanging out, just trying to grow that team unity. And when you have that brotherhood, you really want to play for each other. When you're on the field, you're going to want to put your body on the line for the boys that are around you.
Getting to know new teammates, guys who you didn't know you were going to be playing with maybe even 6 months ago. Who are some of the guys who stuck their hands out first, shook your hand, kind of like welcomed you to the group?
Yeah, obviously I was pretty nervous coming into this group because I came in so late and a lot of people already knew each other. So it's funny, when the first day I got to HQ, everybody said, "What's up?" And I think the first person to actually extend their hand out and ask me how I was doing, how the moving process was Roderick Waters. So, shout out to him. And we've been really close ever since then. And, it's the same for a lot of guys on the team. There's a lot of rookies that, like me, have all kind of formed a little group together as well. I mean, there's not really any little groups on the team. Everybody's just one big brotherhood.
And the other thing that we have to talk about, because this team is starting to kind of come into its own, right? Firework finishes for this team and some super thrilling moments. So I was wondering, are there some conversations happening at halftime in the locker room when you guys are coming together and realizing, hey, we need to kick it into gear? Like, this game is still ours. What do those conversations sound like? Who's leading them? Give me some details like that.
When we go into the locker room, the half times are really long in the MLR. There's 15 minutes, so it's a long time to kind of sit and reflect. But the backs and forwards usually split at the beginning, and we talk amongst ourselves, and we talk about what we've seen in the first half, and especially those guys that are sitting on the sideline or watching the game. They give us their insight as well, and then the coaches come in and they chat about what they've seen, and we just sort of form a game plan. But it's never tense. It's always well, this is a game of rugby, we're supposed to have fun. We need to win this game, but have fun doing it.
You do host Seattle this Sunday. That's 7 Eastern. They're the 2-time defending champs. And I know that you are familiar with them probably from watching highlights. I'm sure you're familiar with some of the guys on that team. They have 1 win under their belt so far this season. That probably doesn't really tell the whole story. And they're going to come into town. They're going to be hungry and they're going to be looking for another win from you all. So let's start with, what do you know about the Seawolves?
Yeah, we know that they're the 2-time defending champs. So, they're not defending champs for no reason. And we can't take them lightly, especially because they are coming from a few losses. And, this team can do, we've been talking about it for a while. A lot of the guys in the locker room, that this league is pretty even. Any team can beat anybody at this point. And, Seattle doesn't have much to lose, so they're definitely going to give it their all.
And hype me up on Austin. Hype me up on your team and what we can expect to see from you when you do face Seattle, because I know you guys are going to be hungry too. You're on a roll. You mentioned that you obviously don't want to be finishing these games in the manner that you have been, but a win's a win at the end of the day. But what can we expect from you this coming weekend?
Yeah, we get a lot of guys back actually this week, and so that's pretty exciting. We're going to have a few people take the pitch for, one of their first or second times during the season. So that's exciting. A lot of people have been waiting for that opportunity. And, our game plans have been pretty straightforward every single week. We've just, we're trying to stick to our rugby, to our game plan, and to our system. So,
Conner, Texas, tell me a little bit about your experience so far in Austin, what that's been like.
With COVID, it's a little bit tough to give you the full experience, but Austin's a great city. It's so much fun. It's not too humid like the lower parts of Texas. And the people are awesome. Food is great. It's just it's a fun place. And, especially at our stadium, we have so many things to do for the fans. we've had concerts, we've had Easter egg hunts, we've had a bunch of things. We have fireworks after the games. So, keeping the fans engaged is really important to us, and, kind of Americanizing the sport as well. We do a few things different than other teams. We put our last names on the back of our jerseys just so people can recognize us easily. And I think it's a great atmosphere overall.
I personally love that you put names on the backs of your jerseys as well, so I can appreciate that. Let's touch on that really quick. You mentioned Americanizing the game, and we go back for a second. You were the first overall pick in the first ever MLR Collegiate Draft. Now, again, you've seen what it can do and how it can elevate your game. Now you get to play pro rugby here in the United States. You had a direct pipeline. You went from life directly to MLR. Kind of speak to the benefits that the future draft picks will have, like your experience.
A lot of people didn't really take the draft too seriously, including, maybe some teams that were going to draft a few of these players. And what we've seen so far is a lot of these guys are actually making impacts in the league, and which is great, especially for the youth of America. The people that are watching the sport, they're seeing us doing well, and they're saying like, hey, this is achievable. This is something that I want to do. Because of that success of the draft, it's just going to continue to grow the sport.
All right, Conner, are you ready for some bonus points?
Let's go.
Okay. All right. You are a Cali guy. You went to life, so you've got some Southern in you there, but now you're in Texas. So I need to know, In-N-Out or Whataburger?
Oh, man. Okay, so Austin actually has In-N-Out here, so that's tough. I'm more of an In-N-Out guy, not going to lie. But Whataburger stays open 24/7, and they have those honey butter chicken biscuits, which are pretty good.
Diving into your team a little bit more, from your perspective, who's the most interesting teammate?
I don't want this to bite me in the butt. Maybe Jeff Hassler. He's an interesting man. A sailor. He's been around the world. He does all these cool things. He's got the long hair. He has his 2 front teeth missing. So he's a very interesting guy. He's a cool guy.
You definitely can't get in trouble for that answer. That's a great answer. That's very...
Yeah, shout out to Jeff. There you go.
What about some nicknames on the team? What's one of your favorite nicknames for a teammate?
Me personally, I haven't heard my name in a long time. They just call me Sunshine at HQ. So that's pretty funny. We have Mason Cook, the guy with the handlebars. He's our sheriff, so we call him Sheriff. I don't think I've said his name in a long time either. I just call him Sheriff.
How many of your teammates own cowboy boots?
That's a tough question. I don't know. Probably about 5 or 6.
A good amount.
I think that we need to make a team trip and just everybody needs to get fitted and get some boots. I think that's a thing that we need to do.
I'm kind of surprised it's not one of like the first things you do when you're brought onto the team is head straight to the store and get a pair with your name on it.
I know we definitely have like some Texan themes. We talk about the Texas Rangers. We actually had a few of them speak to us before one of our home matches.
Oh, amazing. Wait, tell me about that.
Yeah, so I think it was actually our debut match on our home field. We had a walkthrough on Friday, and the Texas Rangers, a few of them came down to the field and they spoke to us about what it means to be a Texas Ranger and how to be one. And it seemed pretty tough, and it's a very honorable thing to become one. So it's something that we talk about with pride. After you're named MVP or you have an award for a week, you're getting that big hat, the big Texan hat, and a pin that says Texas Ranger on it.
This is amazing. You're breaking news here with me. I didn't know any of this. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you are in tune with other sports, athletes across the country, world. If you could trade places with one athlete for a day, who would it be?
Probably Messi, just so I could be in Argentina again and go visit all my friends down there.
I'm glad you brought up Argentina. I want you to highlight one moment or maybe a couple of moments that you kind of carry in your heart with you from that mission trip.
I carry a little piece of Argentina with me everywhere I go, just because I drink mate on a regular basis. So every time I'm drinking that herbal tea, I'm thinking about the people down there and the culture and all of my experiences that I had in Argentina.
What is one reason that you love rugby?
Probably just childhood memories, because my dad introduced me to the sport at such a young age. I've always been around it, and I think that the brotherhood in this sport is a lot different than a lot of other sports, just because of what we go through on a daily basis. And like I was talking about before, when you have that brotherhood, then you want to play harder for your teammates. So I think that that's probably the biggest thing that I like about rugby.
What advice would you give to someone who's younger and maybe trying to figure out what sport they want to play, if rugby is for them? What do you say to those kids?
Play rugby, pick it up. Like that's what a lot of us did here before joining the league. You know, depending on, I mean, it doesn't matter what age you're at, you can pick up the sport. It's for everybody, just because you have that camaraderie. And, you know, I've said it before, my first few years of playing rugby, I lost every single game, but I still love the sport. So it's about those bonds that you make, you know, those lifetime bonds. I actually had some friends come out from California from my very first team this past weekend, and they got to watch our last game live in the stadium. So that was super cool. You know, these lifelong friendships that you make, you don't make anywhere else.
That's so freaking cool. They got to come do that. I'm sure that probably pumped up a little bit more, right?
Yes, it was so fun.
Oh my gosh. And I would also like to say, I think things have turned around a little bit for you since losing every single game you played in when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Definitely. A little bit. Thank you for taking some time with me. Good luck this weekend. Congratulations on all your success, dude. I know that there's so much more in your future.
Thank you. I appreciate it.